Today, ladies and gentlemen, gamers and gamer girls, I want to talk to you about a new meme fresh off the presses. A meme which at first glance appears quite shallow, but actually has many layers within it. It involves the concept of the near miss, the accident which almost happens. But now it's been turned on its head in a way I think you will find most intellectually stimulating. The standard first level, this is without any irony, is simply showing an accident where a driver, a plane, or somebody else in some other kind of vehicle maneuvers in a very dramatic fashion to avoid an accident in a way which is very tantalizing to the senses. You see, the reason we feel such drama is because we empathize. We empathize with the driver of the vehicle. We empathize with the one who is about to get hit, perhaps the pedestrian about to get hit by a truck coon. We empathize also with the onlooker of this event, which indeed in this interaction we are. This also relates to the genre of content called oddly satisfying. This is a type of content that normies enjoy unabashedly, and my fellow ascended operating thetans of the world enjoy with a certain guilty pleasure. There's nothing wrong with this type of content per se, but the problem is when the extraordinary becomes, well, all too ordinary and overplayed. We begin to grow sick of our gluttonous consumption. Part of what keeps us on the edge of our seats is the possibility that some sort of carnage will indeed occur. But if it's inevitable that the accident will be avoided, it starts to lose its luster. Only the most interesting ways in which the subject avoids the accident will remain any form of entertainment. Now, I feel like we need to take a step back here for a second and address the more barbaric content which sets the scene in the first place. The pure enjoyment, unadulterated, of the accident. Everyone has heard the phrase, "It's like a train wreck, I can't look away." Well, quite the opposite of the near miss, the accident, well, you know it's going to happen. And yet, you are still intrigued. Because accidents are the perfect distillation of chaos theory.
See, here I'm now by myself, talking to myself. That's chaos theory.
Indeed, we all know what can happen in an accident, but until it actually occurs, it is both more extraordinary and more underwhelming in terms of carnage than we might expect. The onset of the accident resolves a growing tension, just in the same way the avoidance of an accident might. The difference between these two scenarios, dear viewer, is that while the prior appeals to our sense of empathy, this scenario appeals more to our morbid curiosity. Some might come to question the morality of taking any sort of enjoyment in the viewing of a tragedy. But it's not necessarily the harming of people that brings the intrigue here. When you strip away the moral grayness of someone getting hurt, say in the viewing of a car crash in a controlled test, there is still that sense of anticipation and the sense of payoff when the car actually crashes. This also comes to play in the viewing of slapstick humor and of slow motion clips where you get to see the event unfold. Now, we can say this type of content is only for stupid people, for people as dumb or more dumb than the people viewing near-miss content. But I'm here to say that you could find probably the most high IQ, enlightened, fart-sniffing intellectual, and he might be just as beguiled as the 90 IQ local cashier at your fast food establishment. They're both human after all. So guys, the jig is up. What I've established here is a classic, a just classic Hegelian dialectic. The near miss and the carnage accident are pure thesis and antithesis. So what is our synthesis? What comes of these two competing schools of thought as to the superior brain-rotting Eastern European dash cam footage? Well, see, you start off with a caption or some other sort of implication of a driver making a near miss, or a truck nearly missing a pedestrian, or one of my favorites, pilot nearly missing a building. You see, what you have here is the setup of the near miss. But what you actually do instead of the overplayed near miss is you set up and you subvert it with the actual occurrence of the accident. At this point, The actual occurrence of the accident, you see, is more interesting than seeing the near miss, because we have seen most of the near misses already in our feeds. The other statement which I think is being made here is the reinstitution of irony into a space which is otherwise without it, being dumbed down and repetitive without any counterbalance. I would go even as far as to say that even though these memes are simple, somewhat mediocre, and the punchline wears off very quickly, it's a great act of protest against the ever-encroaching march of content that's intended to hypnotize you. Hypnotize you and your brain into the equivalent of a battery saver mode, where you voluntarily elect to watch advertisements past the minimum threshold, like a perfect, good little consumer. Unfortunately, because this synthesis is between two items which are on a similar, mediocre level of content, they fail to truly transcend what either was on its own. While I find it interesting and most stimulating to talk about, dear audience, the end result is not much more than what it sprung from. A silent protest being televised, but sold back to us, its message diluted and poisoned from hypocrisy. We are left gorged and inundated with an endless stream of content that is however we desire it from sun up to sundown. This system perhaps even turns us into a cybernetic being toiling towards its own destruction, and hooked up to a hamster wheel to generate massive amounts of shareholder value. I don't think you find an easy solution towards returning to the innocent days of early YouTube, watching Russian dashcam videos, or tuning into America's Funniest Home Videos for your daily dose of slapstick entertainment by simply putting out more content into the perpetual, regurgitating slop feed. Believe me, I may say all this, but I'm eating it right there in the trenches with you guys. I'm watching all those good YouTube shorts, Instagram reels. I'm just not going on TikTok. I can't do that. I prefer an all-American psyop, guys. I have some pride in my country. I think you should have some too. All in all, guys, it's just a dumb meme. You don't actually need Hegelian dialectics and ramblings on the ever-encroaching technocratic tyranny to understand this. Really, it just is what it is. And if you see it one way or another, it's but a momentary blip in your life. Something dumb people laugh at, and even dumber smart people like to overanalyze. So, this has been another Bombshell Media production. I hope this video finds you well in your feeding trough, and that it's served to you, consumed at the right time of your utmost convenience. Now signing off. Transmission complete.